Hello YouTube, it is I, the Amazing Kitty Sotus, and I thought I would upload a video by Danny Wilten called Intelligence of the Heart, as it is a video that pertains to the subject of as it is a video that pertains to certain subjects that I've been talking about on YouTube for years, and I understand what he was talking about in that video a lot more nowadays than I did back when I saw this video. Like, I understand what he was really getting at. You can see that I've recently put up some new wall school posters and whatnot. Primarily because I wanted to just have stuff in the background, so that way it just felt more like, that way it's just like looks better. And without further ado, here's the video.
Hey everybody, I wanted to make one more video for you this weekend. And then I'm going to put it down for a bit. But it's weird how this shit comes in waves. But anyways, so I've been talking about Da'at. And Da'at is the understanding of knowledge. A heart that understands knowledge is Da'at. That is, the symbol for that is the eye inside of the door. And what's really interesting about this is it actually does have something to do with the pineal gland, which is what I thought. But so I remembered hearing that that phrase, the understanding of the heart, from somewhere other than ancient texts. And actually, it's from someone that some of you probably know. And his name is R.A. Schwaller de Lubitsch. And he went over to Egypt to study for a while. And two of the books he's made, one of the books that's famous is called The Temple in Man, which I had mentioned in a video. I just couldn't remember his name for some reason. This is a picture of him right here. He studied the Temple of Luxor for probably a good 15 years and realized that that temple was designed after the human body. And this is something that's been carried on into Christian cathedrals. So all of this stuff with Orion, the Hebrew letters being derived from Egyptian hieroglyphs, all this kind of stuff, because if you take a look at the the Hebrew alphabet and you start looking at the parent systems, you'll track it all the way back to ancient Egypt and the hieroglyphics there. So anyways, he has this book called Esotericism and Symbol. And it says there is in man a cerebral intelligence and also an innate intelligence called intelligence of the heart. The latter comes into being through a fusion of the cosmic cause, which is contained in its materialization, with the same cause which is in us. This is possible because the nature of both causes is identical. Now, if you remember, I've read this to you several times. This has to do with Bina, and Bina is an understanding heart. Don't confuse this with the physical heart itself in the body. Bina exists. It's an abstract understanding, but it sits at the top of the tree of life as one of the Trinity, and those correspond to the head. So if you take a look at this, these correspond to the left and right brain, okay? And if you take a look at what Manly P. Hall says in his Secret Teaching of All Ages, He says the Sephirothic tree is sometimes depicted as a human body, thus more definitely establishing the true identity of the first or heavenly man, Adam Kadmon. This was the first idea of the universe that came into being, that manifested. 10 divine globes. And by the way, this is an analogy that this happens all over the universe, I'm sure, right? It's just that the one that is our analogy, I think, that is more connected to us is this place in Orion. This is the reason why we see this all over the world. We see these pyramids designed after it, and we see these old megaliths designed after the belt stars and so forth, because they knew something about this area, including the Mayans, this area which is the seat of creation. But he says, Kether is the crown of the prototypic head and perhaps refers to the pineal gland. Hokma and Bina are the left and right hemispheres, respectively, of the great brain. Now, I have seen some people say that Bina is the left brain. Some people say that Bina is the right brain. It really doesn't matter, to tell you the truth. Just understand that it exists up in the head, and it's the way that you perceive things. A lot of people are trying to do this heart math stuff, saying your heart's got nerves and all that. They're totally missing the point. This doesn't have anything to do with that at all. This is the way that this is the type of intelligence, and it is dealing with symbolism, the hieroglyphics that actually exist in nature, just like what we saw in the Orion Nebula trapezium, which the trapezium itself is a representation of the door. And the eye, did you know the eye, by the way, in Phoenician is a hieroglyph? It looks just like a little hole or a round circle, a small round circle. You put that small round circle inside of the symbol for door, then you got a picture of what's going on in the Orion Nebula trapezium. And so anyways, so I decided to take Bina, which is what you see right here, and I pasted it inside of Google Translate, and it came up with the word intelligence. So I was like, So it is saying understanding, but this is intelligence, and Bina represents the heart in the sense that it's different than a cerebral. It's different than the other type of intelligence. And I looked inside of Strong's definitions, and if you look, it says intelligence. So then I looked at another thing from the Temple in Man, and he says, on the other hand, understanding, intellect, or reason, is the faculty of synthesis and the coordination of ideas, and its functionality is centered in the pituitary and pineal bodies. Hypophysis and epiphysis. This is what the ancients called intelligence of the heart, because its impulse is manifested through the solar plexus, the sympathetic nerve, the emotive center, and its direct physical reactions upon the heart. Very, very interesting. So, of course, I'm going to be looking into this a little bit more, but it gives you a good symbolic understanding now when you think of this whole eye in the triangle, which is really, it is the door to the spiritual eye, and he's mentioning something about the pineal and pituitary. In my own experience, what I'm noticing about this type of intelligence is when you study symbolism long enough, what starts to happen is that you get these flashes that look like pictures that come across your head when you are contemplating a certain subject. You don't know why they come through, but they do. They're either geometric forms or they're and so you just start getting these symbols. They'll flash through your head. So the next thing you do, if you're smart, is you try to understand why you would see that. And when you understand why you would see that, and what's really happening, I think, at a subconscious level is your mind is taking all of the symbolism and it's making sense of it and then flashing results through your head. I'm not really sure what's going on exactly, but the more that you have inside of you to make sense of it when it happens. See, what he also says in these books is that is that everything in nature has a hieroglyph, which is something I've said a while back, which is when I said when I look up in the Orion Nebula and I saw that Orion Nebula trapezium, I was like, nature is speaking in hieroglyphs, and I said this, and I found out he said the same thing in these books too. So it is a way of kind of understanding nature. And here's the interesting thing about it too. If you take a look in the Gospel of Thomas, there is a sentence in there where it says, where Jesus, okay, now Jesus is the representation of wisdom. Wisdom is what caused the first manifestation to happen in the universe cosmically, okay? This is kind of deep, but stay with me. So he says, lift up a stone, you will find me there, right? Or no matter where you look, I'm there. And what he's basically saying is that he is the reality that we live in. Now, if he is the reality that we live in, and he is wisdom, and wisdom speaks in hieroglyphs, then by understanding what the hieroglyphs mean in nature, you are in effect understanding wisdom, which you're understanding. So it all speaks. It speaks with an abstraction that that the other type of intelligence doesn't understand. The other type of intelligence is limited by the words that we have defined in the dictionary, or the things that we've already defined, and so forth. But when it comes to the esoteric, abstract understanding of things that you see in nature and around you, which you can't really put into words, that's where understanding the symbolism and stuff brings you to the intelligence of the heart. I'm almost positive of it. And so if you'll read these books, one of them is Esotericism, or Esotericism and Symbol, and the other one is The Temple in Man. I think this guy's really smart. He's one of the guys I've always recommended, and I think John Anthony West, you're probably familiar with him as well, had a big, series on YouTube featuring a lot of Schwaller's work. So anyways, I just thought I'd bring that to you. So what we're seeing here then is this idea of Da'at and Kabbalism and the representation of Jesus on the cross and crucifixion. This is actually what you're looking at in the Bible is not unique. It actually dates back to ancient Egypt, because we can see that if you decode it, it's talking about the same thing, a heart that has understanding of wisdom, a heart that understands knowledge. And this dates all the way back to ancient Egypt, and I'm sure even further back. So just thought you guys would want to see that and realize that what we're looking at in the Bible is not new. It's Hebrew is not new, and it's borrowed from the ancient hieroglyphs, which I'm sure the ancient Egyptians grabbed and put those together from what they saw in nature. And I think that's what we're missing nowadays. So you guys have a good week, and I'll talk to you soon.